Welcome to Inside Games, the only gaming news channel brave enough to report on news that everyone is just sick of hearing about.
Yeah, it seems like everybody just wants this whole merger business over and done with. Man, every other week it's something new. But yeah, the Federal Trade Commission has other plans. You guessed it! The pending merger between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard has yet another spicy development.
All right, so it was happening, and then it was canceled, and then it was totally on, then completely off, and now...
Oh, we're back. We are so back, Bruce. It's on.
It's on. All right, a recent court ruling means that while Microsoft isn't completely in the clear yet, nearly all signs are pointing to a legally approved merger of Microsoft and Activision Blizzard in all territories.
Yeah, but we said that before, like two or three times now. And the US said no, and then the UK said no. But for real this time.
Okay, all right. Here's a quick recap if you've been lucky enough to skip the back and forth. Just when Microsoft thought it had cleared a major hurdle for its acquisition of Activision Blizzard, the US government said, no, you haven't won yet.
The U.S. Federal Trade Commission tried to block Microsoft's $69 billion merger with the video game giant in court, arguing that it would harm consumers and lessen competition.
On top of suing to prevent the deal in general, the FTC also asked for a preliminary injunction in June, which means that the deal would have been delayed until after the FTC fought it in an internal court.
And given the contractual deadline of July 18th for the merger, an injunction would have done much more than just delay the deal. It would have forced Microsoft and Activision to renegotiate it completely, something that both parties said would just kill the deal outright.
But earlier this week, a federal judge sided with Microsoft, saying that the FTC hadn't made its case that the merger would hurt competition.
Yeah, I mean, we thought that they hadn't either, but who knew it would get this far? So who's to say?
Yeah, that's true.
District Court Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley denied the FTC's injunction, ruling that the regulator, quote, has not shown a likelihood it will prevail on its claim this particular vertical merger in this specific industry may substantially lessen competition.
Which is what we've been saying for months and months and months. Is that, like, you know, whether or not we want it or not want it, it doesn't matter to me. Legally, they're just not a very good case. Judge Corley reiterates that these conditions only apply to the time period between now and the FTC's administrative action. So this isn't exactly a complete shutdown of the FTC's argument. It's saying that between now and the end of the year, there wouldn't be a lessening of competition.
Yeah, hence the lack of a need for an emergency stop to the deal. Regardless, that was obviously good news for Microsoft, who praised the decision. Activision CEO, old Bobby Kotick, was also pleased, slapping his big belly and laughing. Saying that the merger would, quote, enable competition rather than allow entrenched market leaders to continue to dominate.
I wish he would just stop talking. I don't want to ever hear him talk about anything ever again, because he stands to make so much money from this merger.
Yeah, on top of all the money he's already made.
Yeah, I don't care. The FTC wasn't happy with the ruling, and the spokesman said the merger poses a clear threat to open competition in cloud gaming, subscription services, and consoles.
So where does this leave us now? The FTC isn't taking the loss lightly, and we'll hear more about how they're fighting back after this quick word from our sponsor, HelloFresh. Today's episode of Inside Games is sponsored by HelloFresh, who is here to take the hassle out of mealtime by delivering pre-portioned ingredients and easy-to-prepare recipes right to your door. Skip the checkout lines and stay inside. You know, it's summer, it's getting hot out. Use HelloFresh, it'll have dinner covered. Oh yeah, sure, you could have somebody deliver groceries to you, but you're gonna be paying a ton for what? Cracked eggs? Oh, speaking of, maybe this is just because I grew up poor, but food waste kind of gets under my skin. HelloFresh's pre-portioned ingredients really tickle the efficiency corners of my brain. They claim it cuts down on food waste by at least 23% compared to grocery shopping. HelloFresh also means you'll spend less time in the kitchen with quick and easy meals like HelloFresh's fast and fresh pineapple chicken tacos or falafel power bowls ready in 15 minutes or less. We got a lot of big games out now. It means your time is stretched. So sign up for HelloFresh today. Use our link in the description or go to HelloFresh.com and use code POGINSIDE JUL50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Once you click, our description in the YouTube video will actually update live to count the purchases. It's new, fresh tech. Pretty cool. Thank you, HelloFresh, for the sponsorship.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for watching the ad. Picking up where we left off, while the FTC did not win the injunction to delay the deal, they are still set to argue their case before an FTC administrative law judge on August 2nd.
And if the FTC wins that case, the actual for real case, it's actually possible that Microsoft would be forced to undo the merger after it happens.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the path the FTC is, I guess, doubling down on. That possibility was even explicitly acknowledged in the original FTC complaint.
The FTC isn't done trying to fight the injunction ruling either. On Wednesday, The FTC appealed the judge's ruling, showing that they haven't really given up yet.
Which means they now have to convince a circuit court judge to overturn Judge Corley's ruling, which seems pretty unlikely, especially given how final
Yeah.
she sounded in her ruling. It was pretty definite.
I would agree. Microsoft President Brad Smith told Ars Technica that, quote, "We're disappointed that the FTC is continuing to pursue what has become a demonstrably weak case, and we will oppose further efforts to delay the ability to move forward."
Smith isn't the only one to call the FTC's case weak here. We have a lot, nearly everyone, really, except Sony, finds the FTC's arguments a little thin here.
Yeah, so why are they pressing this one when they don't have a winning argument? Well, buckle in, folks, because the answer might be politics.
Oh, there it is. I mean, it's explicitly about politics already, but yes, politics in your games. The day has finally arrived. Federal Trade Commission Chair Lena Khan testified before Congress on Thursday, facing a grill down from congressmen and women on her 0-4 record on merger trials. So maybe she just wanted a fresh appeal on the books on the day that she had to go before Congress and tell them that she was fighting the corporations as best she could. It's as good an explanation as any, because this case is pretty stinky.
That makes sense. All right, so what's next? Well, there's still a temporary restraining order that blocks Microsoft from closing the Activision deal.
But that restraining order expires at the end of day on Friday. And after that, and actually they only have about a couple of days after that before the deadline, they could finalize a deal before July 18th. The FTC could try to block that by applying for an emergency stay extending the restraining order they have, but that hasn't happened yet.
Which means we're either days away from knowing how this whole deal would go down, or this all sounds pointlessly dated by the time you're hearing it, because you're going to be watching it, what is that, Friday the 14th.
Yeah.
And then in 4 days or whatever, when the deal doesn't go through, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, with any luck, you're listening to this while you're downloading 20 Call of Duties through Game Pass. Oh yeah, and finally, like we mentioned before, the FTC could still win their suit that kicks off on August 2nd. So this is kind of interesting, and this will be another tell. The brief for that suit is due to be filed on Friday, July 14th. So if the FTC has any new dynamite evidence, we'll hear about it then. And that's only if they file. I kind of expected them to drop the case if they lost the injunction. So if they file a brief and they really want to go for this, that'll be weird. And also maybe raise some questions about where tax money is going and why. But yeah, we'll see if, I mean, they might still go for the Hail Mary and they might still get it. So who's to say?
So the deal is all but cleared in the United States for the next few months at least. Meanwhile, Microsoft still needs to convince regulators in the United Kingdom to approve that deal.
Yes, the UK's Competition and Markets Authority. They blocked the deal in April after they said they had concerns about competition in cloud gaming going into the future.
But there are positive signs for Microsoft on that front too. After Microsoft's win over the FTC, Smith released a statement saying that the CMA and Microsoft are discussing, quote, how the transaction might be modified in order to address those concerns in a way that is acceptable to the CMA.
Which I guess means that the check's cleared.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, basically they're saying that they might work out a deal where Microsoft offers some concessions in exchange for the CMA's approval. I mean, that was the idea the first go around, so we'll see if it works.
That could include a concession where Microsoft wouldn't put Activision games on its cloud service in the UK. We actually discussed that on this show where I was like, they're probably going to have to pull some stuff off of services in the UK, which is going to be super weird. But the CMA put out a statement saying that negotiations with Microsoft are still at an early stage and that its final report still stands.
So yeah, we might hit a situation where they do finalize the deal and end up legally having to pull out of the UK for whoever knows how long until this particular administrative process runs its due course. That'll be pretty incredible. If they pull out of the UK and also they have to dismantle because the FTC wins their case, that'd be worst case scenario for Microsoft. It's possible, but it seems unlikely.
Yeah, this is something that I had spoke about. I think the last time we talked about this was I was like, wouldn't it be weird if people in the UK, whatever, couldn't use Game Pass, had to buy a Call of Duty on a different platform or not at all, or like. It sounds like that's kind of the way this is going, maybe a little bit, because the CMA is like holding strong. They are definitely being stubborn about this, even after watching the FTC lose this specific injunction. So it is a very, very strange time for this merger, and we've only got a few days left. I think personally, I feel like it's going to go through. Lawrence, do you think that it's got it right at this point?
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to get this amount of pushback. Although after reading about some of the context, I'm not surprised the UK is going after it. I am surprised the FTC is. But after reading about the context and the political climate in Congress, I kind of get it. I didn't think it would go this far, and I think the cases are individually pretty weak. So in my head, it makes sense that it's going to go through. But this whole process has taught me that the political process is anything but logical. So if they get the right judge on the wrong day and the FTC lawyers knock it out of the park and Microsoft's lawyers show up drunk and hungover, who knows, man? It could go down. But I think it's a long shot and would make for a very good story. I do think the UK situation is really fascinating. I would have said there's no way they would do something like that, but there's been no price tag too high for them for this deal.
Yeah.
Truly, there's been no cost they won't fit. So actually, I think they might pull out of the region, which, like you said, then the CMA is not really encouraging competition, are they? So I think Microsoft is like really throwing a bluff on the table, and it's not, well, I guess it's a threat, really. And if the CMA wears that around their neck, that like they actually chased away a huge electronics manufacturer and software company, they probably don't want that either. So they're probably considering looking like the bad guy in that whole arrangement.
The whole thing is so weird. I would love to see, because I mean, if this deal is $70 billion, so clearly that price tag for whatever 6 months, a year of holding out on the CMA is probably lower than the 70 billion merger and what they stand to make on all of those properties from Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, that's a good point. Microsoft is looking at the next 15 years of Call of Duty Online and Candy Crush. And that is a fat sack. And then, they're willing to pay whatever in the meantime to get that in perpetuity.
Well, I don't know if you guys know, but we have a Patreon for Inside Games. And these people directly support that Patreon. We call them patrons here. And specifically, we like to call them out at the end of the episode. However, we assign a label to them that is completely untrue. It's just something that we like to think, maybe, that these specific patrons are Team FTC. Dylan Hiley, Baron 5X, Spirit Bear, Aaron Fraze, Regulus, and Jared Watkins.
And you know what, Bruce, this is weird, because my patrons are also Team FTC.
Oh.
Yeah, what a twist. Everyone loves the FTC. Yeah, all the patrons, weird group of people.
Oh, that's weird.
I mean, honestly, it's hard to blame them. Government watchdog going after the big guy, but rough call in this situation. Come on, patrons. Get with the times. Ian McGee, Old Baby Leg, Sketchy on Patreon, Gypsy Nova, Shaky Pants, and Cash Putnam. Thank you all very much, even though you have questionable legal taste.
And before you go, here is the Inside Games meme of the week. This is art funded with the Patreon dollars. Again, so that's if you're supporting the Patreon, you're supporting these memes of the week. Lawrence, are we showing the entire thing or are we blurring out parts of it?
It's too good to keep under wraps, yeah. So
I love it. Here it is, the meme of the week. And this might hit socials too.
Oh yeah, why not? Get it on the internet.
Okay, all right.
Take it, steal it. Memes are meant to be shared.